Sean Clancy here, and I've got Carl Jocumsen, our #1 pro staffer. We're over in Florida for iCast, and we're just having a look over Carl's boat. We've been doing some fishing while we're here, and we're just going to take a good run through Carl's boat so everyone can have a look at exactly how he sets it up and what he does to make a difference to himself on the water.
Yeah, I compete against, you know, the best guys in the world, and if one little thing is out, it makes all the difference. I've got to be ahead of the game all the time. So Humminbird and Minn Kota, Talon, they're always looking to improve their equipment, and this year's boat, 2017, is by far the greatest setup boat I've ever had. So I'm happy to show you exactly how I got it set up, because it's pretty much amazing. There's nothing I can do to better it. Let's go and check it out.
All right, Carl, so you're at your console now. You've got a couple of Helix 10 Megas. Just explain how you set these ones up.
So yeah, I've got the 2 Helix Megas. I've got the Humminbird chart navigation here on the left, and then I like to run the through hull. This is mainly to see the bottom at any speed, so now I can navigate and see my bottom contours at any speed, you know, 40-50 miles an hour. I can follow my track and make sure the bottom doesn't get too shallow, as this will track the bottom at almost any speed, as that's the through hull transducer. On my right hand side, we're just coming up into some super thick grass here, so I'll just try and get off the edge, but I'm running side imaging here. So we've got side imaging out 49 feet left and right. We're over some very shallow grass right now, so you can see that's what's creating the heavy shadow, and when we drop off here, it'll open right up. So we've got down imaging, which is going to look different to you right now, but this down imaging is amazing, and it's just been changed just recently on this trip. I'll explain a little bit more about that. And then this is straight sonar below, so I just like to match the two of them up so I can see what the down imaging's reading, and then I can match it to straight sonar, both reading off the back of the boat, and so is the side imaging, so I know where everything is when I need to cast at a clump of grass. But look at the detail that the down imaging has compared to straight sonar. And I'm going to put it into split screen. And what we've done here, and what Sean Clancy from Humminbird Australia has showed me on this trip, is now you can actually run separate colors on down imaging. And I was always running just straight, just a straight color right through, so you didn't really see your hard bottom and your harder, better returns coming back in a different color. Well, now we've got down imaging in separate colors, so I know the hard red color is hard ground, rock, mud, or thicker grass, and then the lighter color is going to go into your yellow. And just look at the detailed difference between the two. I still love down, like straight sonar, for a lot of different reasons, and I love being able to compare them, because sometimes this one will pick up what the down imaging won't, and vice versa. But that down imaging is unbelievable in that color system. That's what I'm going to run for the rest of the season. So we've just come off, and you can see it's not missing a single blade of grass. But my general screen is this one. You can see there's some bluegill beds out here, or look, we come into a big heavy clump of grass, and that's what the side imaging's picking up right there. You can see it's just a pure wall, so I could actually, if I want to fish that wall, I could move that cursor across, I could hit mark, and now if you come over here, there's the mark 40-50 feet out to the right of the boat. Now I would drop the trolling motor, and I could turn that boat and make direct casts down the side of the face of that hard weed line where those fish want to be. So really, with this setup, I have so much confidence absolutely nothing gets away out of my sight. Now, as you see, the weed's going to drop off. That's where the, you know, anything 4 to 5 feet or deeper, the side imaging is going to give you amazing reads. And the shallower the depth, the closer in you want to have the side imaging, so you're not reading 70 to 100 feet. We want to bring it into 50 and less. We're only in 7 feet. But as you can see, it's absolutely blank. We know there's not a blade of grass, there's not a clump. Nice and clean. And as we come across back up to this grass, it's going to pick it up. See, there's a nice individual clump. That's a beautiful individual clump of grass. That's the shadow you're seeing in behind it. And now this is what I do through everything. I move that cursor just here and I'm going to hit mark, waypoint, and that's going to mark it back on my Hummingbird mapping here, and I'm going to be able to turn around and target that isolated small clump that everyone else is going to miss, and that's what makes the difference. You can pick up bass beds, bluegill beds. There's not a blade of grass, a rock, or a fish that escapes the side imaging Mega.
And these are all Ethernet networks, so we've got, as you can see, as you marked across, it's all Ethernet networked. It's also networked to the front, and we'll go and check out the rest of the boat and see how it all links in, ties in together. So Carl, we're up the front now, and you've got another pair of Helix 10 units.
Yep.
How do you set these ones up?
So this one's the real important one for me, because with the Ethernet system, so all 4 units are reading each other. They all are talking to each other no matter what, whether I hit mark, whether I change settings or what. But on my right hand side here, I'm reading everything off the back transducer. So I'm reading side imaging works at its peak when you're moving. So I like all the fish are moving, but I really like side imaging when I'm going down the bank or I'm fishing a weed line. It's going to continue to give me nice, new, clear information. So this is reading from the side imaging off the back of the boat. So then I've also got straight sonar from the back of the boat, and I've got down imaging from the back of the boat. And that gives me so much more coverage, you know, area coverage. My co-anglers a lot of the time are catching fish at the back of the boat when they were looking at those back sounders and dropping to fish, and it was fish I was missing from the front graph. So now when I fish FLW and I have a co-angler, I can hit those fish before they have even seen them, and I'm seeing those back fish, I'm seeing the side imaging fish, and I can drop back to them. So now on the left hand side I've got the mapping and then straight sonar, and I can also have a transducer to the front of the trolling motor for down imaging. But I like just straight sonar and GPS, and the Hummingbird mapping system is amazing. It's very accurate, and I'll just turn that to, got it on left, so we want to turn that on to right. And the coloration, this is everything. This is what's going to show you small deep holes. So this is Lake Toho, very shallow. I've got the shallow water depth to 7 foot in red. So now I'm seeing all these little red contours, these little tiny red shallow humps. And then I've got the rest, the depth up to 12 feet in green. And now when it gets deeper than 12 feet, it's going to read in blue. Now look at this. This is something that you would never ever pick up if you didn't have this coloration. So now I can see this is a deep hole in a shallow lake. That is everything, and that could be shell beds, there could be grass clumps, and in summertime that could be where a lot of the fish are concentrating. So as good as the sonar and side imaging and everything is, a lot of my time is spent changing the mapping, looking at the mapping, and then going and side imaging and down imaging the area and finding the isolated clumps. But there's nothing that's getting away from us here. The shadow lines are the deep clumps, and we're looking for isolated stuff all the time that other anglers are missing. That's what makes the difference.
So Carl, you said before how you're running this bow unit from the back unit, as far as the transducer that's plugged into one of the units at your console is delivering all that information to this front unit, and that's through the Ethernet networking. Just explain in the menu how you optimize and alter your settings on each unit.
Yep, very easy to use, and that's the great thing about the Hummingbirds, and I've been with them for a very long time. They're very easy, everyone can use them, and they've got advanced settings, and once you've got them set, they're in place, and you don't really need to touch them, you know, almost all year once I've got them set. So I'm just going to hit menu, and I'm going to hit menu again. That's going to bring the main bar up the top, and we're going to just work our way across to network. So now this is going to be the name of this unit, and I can actually change that to call it unit 2 right, or, you know, front deck right, and that will make it a lot easier to know what unit you're talking, what unit's talking to what transducer. I'm going to go across, I'm going to exit, I'm going to go down to network source setup, and I'm going to go across. So now we've got 2D, down imaging, side imaging, temperature, 1, 2, 3, and GPS. So now once you come across to 2D, this is going to give you the 3 separate units that this unit is reading, and I can just pick one that I want to choose from. So if you change these names here, this one's obviously the right hand console. So if I change that number to right hand console, it makes things a lot easier to know what they're reading. And I'm just going to tick that. As you can see there, it's ticked, and that's what it's going to read for 2D. I'm going to come across to down imaging, come down and tick the same one I want. If I want something different for side imaging, I can come down and I can choose a different unit. Very easy. Temperature is super important for me, so I want a temperature. I want the temperature from the back of the hull, and I also want a temperature reading off my trolling motor to give me those 2 different depths. GPS, same thing. I can read from, you know, the back one, but they will all talk to each other and they'll all mark the same waypoints all over all 3 units. So if I mark on one of them, it marks on all of them, and that makes things very easy. So super easy to set up. That's my setup from the front, and it's reading from the back. Front unit reading from the back transducer. It's too easy.
So Carl, we're up at the business end of the boat. This is where you make it all happen.
Yep.
On the front you've got the Ultrex. Yep. I know how much you love it. Just tell us what you think about the Ultrex motor.
It's probably the biggest game changer I think I've ever put on a boat. It has made my life as a professional fisherman 10 times better, this one motor. There's so many different advantages, and so, you're just so far ahead of the game. If you've got the Minn Kota spot lock, not only the Ultrex, but for the guys back in Australia, hoping to get the Ultrex there soon. But if you've just got you know, an Ulterra or anything with the spot lock, you need to be utilising that more than anything, because it can anchor you, and it's so accurate in its anchoring that it's like having talons in any depth of water. And that's what's big for me. So when I'm coming up to a waypoint here, we've got the wind blowing forward and I'm fishing, I've got competitors around me. They're trying to get to the clumps, they're trying to fit, you know, everyone's fishing around, but I've got a particular area. Now I hook a fish off a clump of grass that's up ahead of me. All I have to do is I have to hit that anchor button, and this boat will not move no matter what boat wakes come, no matter what the wind does, wind direction. This boat will stay right here on that anchor system. And now I can put that fish in the live well, I can upgrade, I can do whatever I can. I come back, re-rig, re-tie, new soft plastic, and when I come back to this deck and I stand here, my next cast is exactly where I caught that fish. No competitors can come in. In the past, I would be now 100 meters away from this area, and I'd have to start the engine and come all the way back. And that was a huge disadvantage. So that anchoring system is everything, and I use it every single morning. When I rig rods, I use it on bedding fish in deep water. I use it to run down the bank. When I'm working on tackle, I'm hitting that anchor button 100 times a day when I'm on the water. And the main key with it that all the new Minn Kotas have is the accuracy. So in the past, and competitors have a lot, the boat will move away a lot and then want to charge up. And as you can see, we've got a little bit of a breeze. We're hardly moving. That motor is consistently keeping us so accurately on that one spot, and that's what makes the Ulterra and Ultrex so much better.
And the Ultrex, it's a true cable steer. It's actually proper cable, and when I was zoomed in before, you can actually see the foot pedal moving as the motor steers. So it's true feel of cable, but with the benefits of electric as far as spot lock and all that sort of stuff.
So for the guys back in Australia, when we get this there, anyone that's fishing around any kind of structure or having to weave in and out, and especially the barra fishermen. If you're a barra fisherman, you're up north in current tidal situations or fishing fast around trees, this is the one because of the response. So you need that foot pedal response. I can't be looking at the head unit and fighting a big bass or a big barra around trees. I need to be in control of the rod, and I need to see where that fish is going, and I know because of the direction my foot is faced, whether I'm going left, and the speed of that is so fast. It's faster than the cable driven, but because it's got that almost power steering feel, when you're going through grass, it will push through that grass with no effort. In thick weed, I can just turn that on a dime and move the boat. So now I can fight a big fish, and I can be in control, and I can follow it and stay in touch with the fight without having to fight the trolling motor. This just does it on pure instinct, because I know exactly what's going on in that pedal.
So Carl, you've got the two 12-foot talons on the back. Are you liking the talons?
I'm absolutely loving them. This is my first year with Talon, and I'm very, very impressed. We are in on my 7th hard month of fishing, almost every single day, and they have just been flawless for me. The speed, the quietness of them, and just the reliability, and then also having the ability to anchor in 12 feet is a huge advantage. It's massive. So now it was, you know, it used to be 8 foot or 6 foot, and now 12 feet is unbelievable. Pretty much I can use them anywhere in most lakes, right through the year, even up into summertime fishing deep grass. And just simple to use, very responsive. This is on my console. I have 2 of these, and they're just super fast and easy. Just 2 taps and the Talon is instantly deploying. And they have a system in there to actually read their what depth, what the actual ground is like, whether it's mud, whether it's hard rock, and what it needs to do, whether it needs to spike harder or it needs to actually pull up a little bit like on rock and not really keep digging down deep. And as you can see, we've already stopped. The Talon's down. It's fast, it's very responsive, it's quiet, and that's everything that you want in a shallow water anchor. And then to have the 12-foot depth, pretty much can't get any better. So I'm in love with them, very impressed. Reliability is amazing, hasn't let me down in almost 8 months of very hard fishing, so enjoying them.
So Carl, at the front you've got the Talon foot switch. Just take us through that, how it works.
Yep, so this is going to control the talons at the back, and this is what I will use 95% of the time when I'm up the front and I want to stop and fish areas. I'm going to use this mainly to put my talons down. You got your mode button here, and very easy to use. Tap it once, the left hand talon is going to go down, tap it again, only the right talon's going to go down, and then this is the main one, tap it again, you'll see both lights lit up. That means both talons are going to deploy. Very easy, double tap down, now they're both working, they're both heading down, and bang, I'm going to stop. And the best part about the up is I don't have to double tap it, just one hit and they'll both be on their way back up now. So very quick, very responsive. If they get halfway up, I can hit it again and that will stop them, and I can slide forward and hit down and make them go down again. So nice and easy, nice and responsive, and very easy to use.